Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome to another weekly episode. Although the book cover competition is still going on, I'm not doing any new book covers. You can vote for your favorite book cover in the link that's also down below. But I'm very excited. I'm keeping a reserved face, but I'm very excited to start this new series that's basically called writing and publishing a book on KDP. It's a frustration of mine that I had when I was starting out, because I didn't know how to go about things. I didn't have anyone giving me steps. On one side, I didn't really seek out a lot of mentors. And if you go to a show and you talk to people, you get some emails, you can connect with people. But it's very difficult. When you go to a writing course, maybe they teach you to write, maybe they teach you to publish. The goal of this series is to take you all the way through the process at your pace, on your time, so that you can get your book published, if that indeed is what you want. But this first post is going to be your favorite, or going to be the one that you don't watch again. One of the many questions I've heard other authors asked, one of the questions I get asked a lot is, the question is, how do I get my book published? How do I write? And there's just no kind answer. There's no polite way to go about it. And if there's a better way, I haven't heard it, no matter who answers it. There's a brutal honesty. There's a brutal truth in the pursuit of any goal. An athlete, a cook, a chef, a mother, a father, a student. There is a brutal fundamental truth that someone has to face that determines whether or not this is the path for you. Either you want to write or you don't. That's all there is to it. People who want to get in shape, either you want to get in shape or you don't. Either you want to be a singer or you don't want to be a singer. This isn't just related to being an author, but it is the first question you have to ask yourself. You have to ask yourself, do I really want this? Too many people, when they come to me and they talk, they say, oh, I really want to write a book. And I get excited. I want to help them. I'm like, cool, all right, go ahead and write, like, I don't know, write like 200 words tonight. And then the next day they're like, oh, well, I couldn't get to it because. If the reason you couldn't get to it is I couldn't get to it because, those things that you're doing instead of writing are the things you want to do with your life. That's no harm. There's no foul. That's not a condemnation. It's my effort to reveal to you a simple truth. The things you choose to do with your time and with your life are the things that matter to you, and everyone has the right to choose. What I am challenging you on, though, is if you want to be a writer, then you have to choose to write. Now, this whole series, I'm going to walk you through ideas, tricks to keep moving, how to world build, all the mechanics that are involved in developing a story, drafting a story, getting a story ready to publish, and then getting a story onto KDP. Those are all things that anyone with relative skill can do. But the thing that separates published authors from non-published authors is nothing more than the published authors wrote. They didn't write with any fear of what others might do. They didn't write with any concern of what others might think of them. They didn't let other things get in the way of their writing. I'm not saying to avoid the responsibilities of life. I am a father of 3 sons. My wife is fantastic. I want to make sure that I'm serving my church and my God the way any Christian should. I work very hard in my job as an instructor, where I teach students all the fundamentals of writing and photography. I have a very busy life. But there's always that point where someone has time. You have the right to do what you want with your time. But if you don't make yourself sit down and write, you're not going to make it. You can't. The most important lesson, the first thing I have to do, the reason why this is the first episode is because nothing happens until you discipline yourself as a professional writer. Whether they're the lowest paid, they're losing money writing a book, or they're multimillionaires who can scribble on a napkin and sell 1 million copies. None of that happens without the work. And you have to decide to put in that work. I want to help you out. I want to talk you through the things that I know how to do. I'm not going to pretend to be the greatest in the universe. I'm not going to pretend to be the smartest in the universe. But the lessons I figured out, I have 13 titles published. So the thing I know how to do is write a book and get it published. Marketing, all those other things, I'll try to give you the knowledge that I have, but those aren't my skill sets. Getting an agent and other things, also not my skill set. But man, if I can find a way to have other people contribute and give you that advice, I will do it. But none of it matters if you're not writing. When I was a younger man, I read Stephen King's book on writing. And what that book does is it challenges you. It calls you out. You're either doing a thing or you're not doing a thing. Don't waste anyone else's time, let alone yours. It's yours. The ability one has to write, the ability one has to produce words is like any other skill. It comes with time and practice. And the more time and practice you put toward a skill, the more proficient you get at it, the more readily that you can do it. I am a full believer in the momentum of writing. There are things that hold up my momentum and it takes me a while to recover from it. And there are things that build my momentum and they really get me cranking out words. So I will start with this call to action. If you want to be a writer, write once a day, every day, without fail. Don't allow excuses. Don't allow yeah buts. Don't allow I would have, but I didn't get to it because none of that works anymore, because you've chosen to be a writer. You've made that choice. You have begun this path and you're either going to walk it or you are not. And nothing happens if you don't start. No book gets finished. You may write 30 books and they're still not where you want them to be, but you finished a book. You have something to work from. A little background on my journey. I wrote my first complete manuscript when I was 17. And I was really excited about it. And I had some encouragement, and we'll get to that in the next episode. But I wrote that first draft and I was so happy about it. I gave it to my best friend, who is now my brother-in-law, and he read it and I got it back and it was, yeah, this doesn't work. This is really silly. This doesn't make any sense. And if you hear that story, you might think that he was like disrespecting the book or he was being insulting to it. He knew I wanted to be a good writer. So he gave me the feedback I needed. I hated hearing it. It was not fun, but I went back and I wrote that book again. And I addressed all the questions and I brought it back to him within the week. And then I wrote another draft. And then my father helped me meet with a published author. And I showed my book to him and he sat me down. And there was a moment where he kind of chuckles. He's like, don't worry, you'll get better. And I could see it, like, this guy thinks I'm messing around here. This guy thinks I'm playing. I went home and I revised it. I wrote another draft of that book. And then I brought it back to him within like a week. And he starts reading it. And I could see his posture shift. He went from like step back, like, oh, what am I doing here? Then he leans forward and he starts saying, this is good. Not better, not great, but this is good. And he kept reading. All of that taught me something important. Like any art worth pursuing, like any skill worth obtaining, like any dream worth having. You need to develop in yourself the drive and persistence to do it, and do it consistently, and do it again and do it again. The most important time to write is when you don't feel like writing. I'm too tired. I don't feel well. I'm not up to it. I'm not in the mood. Then sit down and do it. Because what you're doing is just you're training your mind and your heart and your body to get through that. You're denying all the doubt. You're denying all the self-criticism. You're denying the laziness and telling your body, like, I don't care, you're going to do this. And then something magical happens. You can't stop. You can't stop. You find yourself constantly moving and constantly thinking. And then people who come up to you and say, like, I don't know how to get an idea, like, you can't get the ideas to stop coming out of your head. I wrote that book 21 times, completely scrapping the original draft and writing it again. And they all stunk. They were all terrible. And I never want to see that particular title again. But I learned this process. I learned how to tell a story. I learned how to revise a story to create something worth publishing. That's what I want to do for you. That's what I want to do to help you. But I can only help you. I can't do it for you. Nobody else can. So you have to. You have to do it because you've chosen to do it. So now I write 1,000 words a day. Now I define writing as anything involving the process of getting a book out, getting a book live. So sometimes, like these days where I'm editing a book, my 1,000 words is I'm going through this chapter and I'm making sure this chapter is good. Sometimes I'm in a dream world and I can just draft and I'm actually typing 1,000 new words. That's my favorite. That's what motivates me. That's what energizes me. Sometimes I'm typing campaign blurbs for cost per click campaigns. Those are my least favorite times. Those really drain me. But every day, every single day, I write at least 1,000 words. Or if I'm being more open and upfront to help you understand it, I'm investing time in my craft. Back in those days with that first manuscript, the commitment that I made to is 1 hour a day. And the first time I did it, I told my family from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m., I'm doing this. And the first week, the first month, maybe even, I spent that first hour just sitting in front of a computer staring at it like I hated it. And maybe I typed 3 words, maybe I typed 4 words. But you're building in that habit, you're building in that exercise. After a month or so, like I was cranking out, 100, 200 words. Once that skill and habit is trained into your mind and into your body, I promise you, it just starts clicking. But you have to persist. You have to persevere through that phase. And during that phase, the doubt and the energy and the fear, it's going to go from 990 to 9 billion. And everything you fear is going to attack you. And you have to have the dedication and the strength to say, I'm going to do it anyway. Again, this works for anything. This just happens to be a blog by an author trying to help other aspiring authors get to that goal. But whatever it is, you have to do it when you're trying to get in shape, when you're trying to, get on a musician contest, when you're trying to learn how to sculpt or learn a new language. That storming phase, that adjustment phase is always the hardest. It's always the most challenging. It's always the most frustrating. But the other side of that is worth it. So that's it, episode 1. If you want to do it, do it. But start with 1 hour a day. Maybe, okay, I'm busy. Hey, I got this. I got it. Okay, cool. 30 minutes a day, 20 minutes a day, 5 minutes a day. You have to dedicate time to the dream that you have. And if you refuse to dedicate time to the dream you have, you don't deserve the dream. That's not very nice to hear, is it? I'm sorry. This is not the post where I reveal myself to be a nice guy. This is the post where I challenge you to look at your heart and decide what you want. you get to choose. Some people, maybe you're going to write 50 words a day. Maybe you're going to write a sentence a day. Maybe you're going to work on an idea. As long as you're working toward a goal, you're moving in the right direction. So if you have this idea that you want to type out, go ahead and just type it. If you have a scene in your head that really makes sense, go ahead and type it. If you have this world that you want to create, go ahead, start working on it. We're going to work on all that minutia to give your energy direction later, but your energy is what's necessary. Direction must happen after the energy is accumulated, after it's generated, and you have to build that energy and that habit toward a consistent habit before you can start training it. So before you watch episode 2, stay on this one. I'm going to keep filming because I don't know where you're at in your process and what you need help with. But most people I talk to, every time they come up to me, oh man, I really want to publish a book. I'm like, oh, cool. How do you have a manuscript on you? Do you, how often do you write? What's your idea? Oh, I haven't started anything yet. That's almost always how that conversation goes. And it breaks my heart. It makes me sad. You got to start somewhere. So the starting point for anyone who wants to do this is, I'm going to commit time and energy to this process, or whatever you want to call it. I'm going to devote energy to this. You get to pick what that is. Once you realize that you're habitually doing this, once you realize that you're writing every day, then you're ready for episode 2. But until you start working toward that habit and building that habit to where you realize that you will start really excluding things, you'll turn down opportunities to hang out, you'll turn down entertainment that is tempting but isn't what it is you do. Once you're there, then you're ready for episode 2. Bit of a disclaimer, I'm not telling you to ignore your family. I'm not telling you to ignore your loved ones. I'm in a marriage, so I sat down with my wife and I said, okay, cool, this is what I'm trying to do. I'd already published a lot of books before, but I love my wife and I'm supposed to sacrifice for her. I'm supposed to be willing to give time to her and my family, and I want to do that. So we had a conversation. When is this going to work? And sometimes I have to shift left to right. Sometimes I have to make other decisions. I've had to adjust. You do that with love and understanding. But if this is a goal you want to pursue, you have to set aside that time and communicate that. And then hold yourself to the standard that you create for yourself. So if you're super, super timid and you don't know what you can do, maybe you only want to type for 10 minutes a day. And that's okay. That's all right. You're gonna get there. In 10 minutes, you type 20 words, you type 120 words. I don't know. The words add up and you get there. But they have to add up. And so you got to do something. Pick a time, pick a word count, pick a minute count. My personal recommendation is an hour. I am as busy a guy as I know to be. I can find an hour. So I think you can too. If you need help, shoot me an email. How do I find time? Give me your schedule. I'll sit down with you. I'll figure it out. Now, maybe you don't get as much sleep as you want. Maybe you don't get as much entertainment as you want. But if you need that kind of help, you can do that. I got all the social media in the universe. You can use my blog, which should be in the link below. You can get to my email through that. If you're really struggling on finding time, I find time very well. I'm very good at finding time. But just so you know, you find time by killing non-productive time. I don't mess with my time when I study my scripture because God's more important. I don't mess with my time with my wife because she's more important. I don't mess with my time with my kids. They're more important. I don't read as much for leisure as I like. I still get reading in, but I don't read as much. I don't play as many video games as I would like, but I still have time for those things. I just had to shave those things away to create a window that I was willing to accept to make that happen. And you can do that too. Pick that allotment, find that time, dedicate it to your craft. And for now, just get yourself in the habit of typing. Type nonsense, type a blog, type directions to a thing you know how to do. Get your body used to doing this for an hour a day. And then what will happen is ideas will start generating, ideas will start happening with you. And then you're going to find out creative energy taking over. And then you're ready. Now we have something to channel. I hope you enjoyed this episode. This does conclude that first episode. Your homework is to develop that writing habit. Write for an hour a day. You can manipulate that, whatever's appropriate to you in your life and with your demands. But once you get there, now you're ready to go to the next step. And the next step is dealing with things that get in the way of writing. In this case, I'm talking about not having any ideas, self-doubt, not liking what you're writing. We're not ready to start working on a book yet. We got to learn how to keep a mindset that will allow us to persevere when all that doubt and all that fear starts getting at us. This is the first part, and we will continue on throughout the days. So I really hope that this does challenge you. I really hope that you can't wait for me to, maybe you pause me already and you're typing. That would be great. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope that you're writing. As always, have a great week and God be with you. Bye now.